My wife thinks our story is so cute, but I've never told her the true story of how we met. A few years ago I moved to a new town and started going to a new church. At that church I met a girl. We never really became more than acquaintances until one day we happened to run into each other while we were walking our dogs at a neighborhood park and discovered that we lived right across the street from each other. After that we started hanging out more and walking our dogs together. Then we found out that we had a lot in common. One thing led to another, and we ended up getting married, or at least that's how she thinks it went. The truth is a little different. A few years ago I moved to a new town to go college. It was a pretty small college, and within a month of starting I knew every student at the school, and while they were nice, I just couldn't see myself dating any of them. So there I was, in the middle of an unfamiliar city, leagues away from anyone who knew me, and my dating prospects seemed grim, at least for the moment. I figured this was as good a time as any to try out online dating just to see if it was worth the time. So I signed up for a free trial on a reputable site. I filled out my profile, set some tight filters, and started searching. Over the next month I met a few girls and had a few chats, but nothing exciting happened. Then one day I was scrolling down the list and I came across one of the most attractive girls I'd seen on the site. From her profile she seemed to be exactly the kind of girl I was looking for, but that was no surprise since my search parameters didn't leave much room for anything else. I was just about to send her a message to say hi, when I noticed that she lived in the same town as me. I figured that I'd probably have more success introducing myself to her in person than I would online. So I went on Facebook to see if I could find her profile. Within a few minutes I found her, so I started scrolling down her timeline to see if I could figure out what church she went to. Luckily I didn't have to go far. She'd shared a church event just a few days before. That Sunday I went to that church, and wouldn't you know it, she was one of the first people to come say hi to me when I walked in. We only got to talk for a minute, but I liked what I saw. Over the next few weeks I got to talk to her a few more times, but I could never really get anywhere. Then, one Saturday morning I was driving out of my neighborhood. A man on a bike rode past my car. I recognized him as the girl's father who I'd seen at church several times. He seemed to be taking a leisurely ride, so it made sense that he couldn't live too far away. Later that day when I got home I pulled out the phone book and looked him up just out of curiosity. To my surprise I discovered that he lived less than 100 yards from my house. At that point I knew what I had to do. I started taking my dog out on walks to the neighborhood park much more often. And sure enough, I eventually ran into her walking hers. Of course, we started talking, hit it off, and the rest is history. I feel so dishonest not telling her my side of the story, but I don't want to take the romance out of her memories.